Basically, we have been discussing on foreign exchange transactions and foreign exchange transactions or the proprietary trading, how it will going to be relevant to our subject, our syllabus. We have been discussing uh, so basically, examiner has tested several times on this foreign exchange transaction, but not in uh, deep level discussed. Only thing there is another syllabus topic under your exam coming. Financial market operation. So they are, if you are doing this operation, financial market operation, there you will be discussing extensively on this foreign exchange transaction and proprietary trading. So here we will be touching, as I told you last week, we will be touching the required portion only. Now, basically, I just want to tell you one thing. Now, if you, sorry to now, this is I think you can see this. This is the advertisement we have been discussing, we have been learning, we have been used in the class, right? This is advertisement, treasurable advertisement we have been used. Now remember that when you use this treasurable auction ad, there was a rate given by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Now this is the last week auction, the 15th. So the settlement would be after 2 days time, that is 70. So every week you have the 15 was the Wednesday, then the Friday, last Friday was the settlement. Now see, maximum yield rate was given. Now before this, some time ago, Central Bank has given maximum yield rate for 3 months and 6 months as well. Now, with the assuming duties of present governor, this is the next week starting from today, 22nd. No, what is the difference now? 22nd, and next Wednesday auction. Now there is no maximum retail or maximum retail price. For essential goods, we put control price. Like what do you mean by 6.2? The previous 6.12 was you can't bid. You can. Who is you? These 10 people can bid above 6.12. The liberty has been given, but only thing your bid will not be selected. So basically, 1 year, if you want to take 1 year treasury bill, if primary dealers want to put 1 year treasury bill bids, it has to be either 6.12 previous occasion, either 6.12 or below. That's what it means. That was up to last week. So we had only we left with only 1 year maximum yield rate or maximum rate, like similar to maximum retail price. You can't go beyond that, right? Now from next week onwards, this is the latest, which is to be held next Wednesday, 22nd. So there is no maximum retail price, like maximum retail yield. No. So why the government has taken, or why the central bank has taken this decision? In the exam, you can be tested. Now, there is a tendency of interest rates going up these days, that we know, with the increase of policy rates. Everybody knows that. So what happens is now almost all the treasury bill options and treasury bond options are undersubscribed. The amount they wanted to raise not be allocated, not being taken. Actually, primary dealers, primary dealers have put their bids more than the required amount, but yield rates was quite high. So then the government didn't want to take a high yield rate. So then the government rejected. As you see the, show you now. This is the 15th one, the last week auction results. Especially auction results. Now see the how much the amount wanted to raise, entire amount 39.5. Amount received 52.94. The primary dealers have put more bid, more than the requirement. But only thing government accepted 19 billion only. So the primary dealers are doing their job. What is their job? To participate actively in the auction. That's why they have been given the license. That's why these 10, only 10 primary dealers have been given the license. So they are doing their job well. Why? Wanted to raise 39, put bid 52. All these 10 people, 10 primary dealers. But government has accepted them. Okay, 6 months, they have accepted nothing. Central bank. Why? Private dealers have put bid at very high yield, 5.95 in the previous week. So must have put here bids like 625 like. So the government does not need to take it. Whereas the 1 year treasury bill is 6.1. So why should I accept? So there will be a huge disparity there. So basically government didn't want to increase their interest. That's why they have rejected. Now here also you can't go beyond that. But you can, your bids only accepted, your bids, if you want to take it 1 year treasury bill, it has to be either 6.12 level or it has to be either below 6.2. Then only your bids will be accepted. Now that's what actually happened here is 286 million bids. The private dealers have at 6.12 or below 6.1. That's why government has accepted. The others obviously more than 6.12. So there is no prohibition for you to put more than 6.112. What does it mean? What is the meaning of this maximum yield rate? Central bank will not accept. That's all. But you can't put 8%, 9%. You can't put market rates also, right? That is prohibited after this bond scandal. But මේකට within them, your bids must be accepted. That primary dealers know. Okay. Now, what I want to tell you is from next week onwards, they have removed, and there is no maximum treasury bill rate. So why the government has or the central bank has taken this decision? Obviously, people are not willing. Even they bid that high rate. Now see, now this result sheet, if I put not the last week but before 1 year, week before, not the last week, but week before, my treasury bill, my money, one of primary dealers' money will be invested at 6.05. But if you hold it for another 1 week, till last week, if you put your bid last week, you would have earned 6.12, 0.07% increase. So I'm thinking the same this next week as well. I'm thinking 6.12 is the last, but this week it will further go up. So why should I put that this week? Then people won't. People's the primary dealers bids are not to be accepted. They want not to be accepted. Why they are putting them? That is their role. They'll have anyway put 10% minimum they'll have put. That's why they are putting. But I don't like my bids are accepted. Right? I can invest my money next week at higher rate. That's the intention. Obviously, it has been that is the pattern. The previous year got less than 6.0. So the increasing trend, interest yield rate is increasing. So then people will not go for long term. Understood? That's what we learned. There are four types of yield curve. Now we were actually when we doing that syllabus topic, when we doing that part, we were discussing decreasing. But now it is increasing. Now time to time it can be different. So when you sitting your exam future, then you will have to write. So the examiner will test you on the increasing trend of interest rate. Why you can see increasing trend of interest rate. Now we are expecting the same will prevail towards the year end as well. So basically, you will be having interest rate increase in us. Right? So understand and this is what happens. So the basic, the intention is to remove this particular cap rate or the maximum yield rate is to have more bids accepted, right? Not that bids are people are not bidding, private dealers are not bidding, but the only thing understand very clearly they are bids to be accepted. So that's why central bank needs more money or the government needs more money. Otherwise, what happens? So the balance has to be what? Now this 39 requirement, 19 only accepted. So the balance has to be what? Money printing. So that's what people are calling money printing. So the government anyway needs 39. Now these are maturities. Maybe these are maturities. So you have to anyway settle it. So you need this. 39 anyway somehow you have to find it out. You have to find it out. You need 39.5 billion, but accept the 9. So the balance has to be provided by whom? Central Bank Sri Lanka. By how? By money printing. So it's very dangerous, right? You know, if you take 2020 and June, 35% money increase. You can see money has been provided. Almost all the options undersubscribed. Almost all the options undersubscribed. So the government is lack of what? Revenue. So how does the government get revenue? Through taxation. So we discussed the first discussion. Government has done a huge tax reduction 2019 November, thinking that more people will come into this tax net, but unfortunately we had the corona. So then the government, how can the government ask to pay more taxes? So how can the government increase taxes? They can't do that, right? But they are thinking of putting some taxes. So that's why the now all these taxes are coming to Bank of Ceylon and People's Bank, so the government collections. So we have been noticed this exercise duty can alcohol then duty drastically came down due to this closure of wine stores. So that's why government decided to open it. So basically to collect the tax revenue. So without having the tax revenue, the government can't spend on health, on public transport, or whatever the government expenditure cannot be done without having revenue. So then what happens? They'll have to borrow. They'll have to borrow from the two state banks. But there is a limit of borrowing as well, right? There is a limit of borrowing as well. So the only source is collecting tax revenue. So that's why they have decided to open this wine stores to collect more taxes. Right? So that is one thing. Right. Understand and the difference, the latest the new governor's decision and the new governor's decision we can discuss I think next week as well. So there will be a roadmap presented by new governor how this country will forward by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, how the central bank will assist in helping Sri Lanka to go forward. So he will be releasing next week the roadmap, their vision. We can see, we can discuss the more things. So sometimes what we have already learned, what we have already taught, can be a little different, right? So we never expect, now when we started this class, we never expected that the market the interest rate will go up like this. So we thought of there was a 10, but only thing at this pace, no. We are expecting further increase of interest rate before end of this year. So due to the credit growth of the country. So the reduce the credit growth of the country will have to anyway increase the interest. Right. So that's what government has done. Very important, right? Right. That's right. So then we were discussing foreign exchange transactions with you all. Just to refresh, we need foreign currency transaction wise. So some topics, some syllabus content, some basically the discussion points are not available on your tubes, right? PowerPoint transactions. I'm requesting you to write it down if you need necessary. Sometimes there was a similar occurrence happened, you know. So when we discussed in this class, there was a question for 2 marks question in your exam. Examiner tested what is the name of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka in US. US වල තියෙන Central Bank එක කියන නම. But we discussed in the class, but it was not available on your notes. But it's 2 marks. 2 marks, you know, 2 marks can make a big difference. So basically, I'm requesting you everything we discuss here are important, right? Sometimes it can get you for 2 marks. The Fed Reserve Bank is the central bank of US. ECB is the central bank of for Eurozone. Reserve Bank of India is the name for Central Bank of India. Right. Right? And different names were there for share market of different countries. Now, if we take, we have what ASI and S&P. Now, US, what do you have? Dow Jones. Then where this India, you have Tencent and Nikkei. That is the name for the share market in Japan, Nikkei, right? And also remember, I don't know whether you can remember, we have discussed something on junk bond. So people are more discussing on junk bond. So we are in the junk bond category. Now when you sit for the exam, there will be another ISP settlement coming in January. So there is an interrelated connection I can see. So the examiner can test you the meaning of junk bond. Junk bond means, so basically countries are issuing now countries we issue junk bond. Why? We are in the category of junk category, and the rates have to be quite high. So if we give higher rates, only people will invest. Still not. Why? They have fear of investing. So they have fear of getting their money back. So basically, they think twice before investing countries like that. Why? We are in the triple C credit rating. So triple C, we discussed the importance of rating, right? For a third party. So we are giving a independent opinion. So the rating agents actually give independent opinion. For the prospective investors, people are not investors. The prospective investors, how this country or how this institution will settle your investments or settle your deals. So basically, there will be a category. We learn I'm just refreshing what we have learned, right? And now, why do we need this foreign exchange we discussed yesterday, so we can't be isolated. So we have to work with different countries. So then we are using then accepted currencies. So rupee is not accepted currency. Even we import, even we export, people will not settle whatever the dues, whatever the amount to be paid, whatever the amount to be received in LKR. LKR is not accepted currency worldwide. There are several worldwide currencies. Now in Sri Lanka, we have identified 14 designated currencies. Now recent addition is what? Thai baht. Thai baht, you can do transaction with Thai baht. So previously Chinese renminbi also added. Now recent past, within 2 months, Central Bank has decided to uh, accept or decided to do transaction or decided to allow to do transaction in Thai baht as well. Why? You know, a lot of gym business are happening with Thailand. So the people due to avoid this fluctuation, foreign currency fluctuation, so this is a good method. Right? Earlier we were not accepting Thai baht. The only thing we accepted currency notes, but only thing you can't do transaction. Now you know. So what is the difference between these? Now see, now if you take Great Britain pound or euro, you can do transaction through currency note as well. You can buy euro currency notes. You can sell euro currency notes. That can be done. But if you see Kuwait dinar, so you can use, so the banks can sell Kuwait dinar notes. Bank can buy Kuwait dinar notes. Notes possible. But see now you want to send money to Kuwait. You have purchased oil, example only, and you need to settle it. Can you make the transaction through Kuwait dinar? You can't. You can't do that. Can you make the transaction in euro? Yes, you can. Can you make the transaction in GBP? Can if you want. Can you make the transaction in dollars? So these countries are accepting only designated currency, like similar to our Sri Lanka. So they need settle the transaction, so finish the transaction for an accepted currency mode. Basically, we do it dollars. Now, here in Sri Lanka, if we import something from Kuwait, or if we import something similar to Oman, similar to other countries as well, right? There are only 10 currencies you can do the transaction now, right? It's similar there. Now, even we export to that country, you can't do their own currency. But here the currencies are accepted. The notes can be transacted, buying and selling, but you can't make the payment. We call it TT payment. Right? So only the popularized method, not the well accepted method, is what to settle whatever the transaction in dollar forms. Even the now Kuwait dinar is a designated currency in Sri Lanka, which is accepted or which is approved by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, one of the 14 designated currencies. But still, you can't settle there. You can settle whatever the bills, only the currency now. Okay. So similarly, there are now the Thai baht addition is basically when you're doing the more transaction, export transaction with Thailand. So the government of Sri Lanka is thinking that it is a much more beneficial rather than, so you know, now when you do transaction with gem transaction with China, very difficult to bring dollars to Sri Lanka. So there is a huge tax you have to pay. So then to avoid it, people are using informal methods to bring money to Sri Lanka, especially if the money will not come, so dollars will not come to Sri Lanka. So to avoid this, someone has taken this Thai, because the Thai and the China, basically even the transaction is happening in China. Finally, the settlement will be done most of the time. So that was I was told in China, Thailand. So then basically there is a possibility of, and we accommodate. We have opened Nostro accounts. Now see, now you know now what is this Nostro. So our account with them. Now see, so whatever the bank, open account with bank, whatever the bank in Thailand, bank in Thailand. So similar, right? So basically, you have created, you have established Nostro relationship. Our account with them. Now what about their account with them? They won't. They will open, but still they have not opened any rupee accounts with any banks in Sri Lanka. But we opened Thai baht account in one of the indigenous banks in Thailand, right? So importance is that, and also this is important, right? Different names now. Now if you see Great Britain pounds to GBP, right? Euro, and also the examiner has not tested this. How do you interpret? How do you use? Now gold is traded. Gold is traded commodity, right? So when you, if you can remember, in the first discussion we discussed the several markets. The last market was the commodity market. The commodity market is not active in Sri Lanka, but if you take other countries, commodity markets are very much activated, very much active. Now, what are the commodities? Sugar, gold. Gold is anyway there. Now, other essential items we see in pork, and also there are commodities which can be exchanged, which can be traded through exchanges. So, Akiringu, right? So everything you can trade it. The market taker, Pitatola, Huga active exchange. So basically, price will be determined based on the demand and supply, and also other factors. What are the other factors? Now, see, next time I ask you why the gold prices are coming down with the increase of US. It is so. So when the whatever the, now see the interrelated link among these things. Gold and the US dollar are interrelated. Now you know in Sri Lanka we have reserve of how much? 3.6 billion now. So out of 3.6 billion, 400 million is what? Gold. So we have invested in gold, right? We have invested in gold as a country. Gold is a lucrative business. The prices going up. So recently prices touched 1,800. Again, it has come down due to this dollar strength. So when the dollar is getting strengthened, the people are moving to accept or purchase US dollars. Then they're selling gold, so the gold price coming down. Similarly, if the dollar getting weak, people will again move to gold. Again will move to crude oil, like that. So they are interconnected economic fundamentals in those countries. Like here in Sri Lanka, so when the inflation is going up, we're expecting rates to go up, like that. Rates to go up. But we have not yet seen this, but slightly interest, the inflation has gone up. That is not because of price increase, the policy rate increase due to the food inflation increase. Due to the increase of food inflation, only entire inflation rate has gone up slightly, not because of Now see now if you now see now in Sri Lanka if you see inflation rate is 6.06%, 6%. How much you pay? How much the central bank pays for 1 year treasury bill? 6.12. How much your net earning? 0.12. Is it worthwhile for you to learn for the view? Sorry, not enough. You know, less than 0.5%. So the who will be investing? So that's why people are asking more yield from you for FDs. Right? They're expecting at least 1% above. So if you pay 7%, so whereas the inflation is 7, so the 1% gain you have. Right? So something different what we are discussing. Nostro and Ostro is also another one. Our account with them, their account with us. Ostro, our account with them. So if your bank opens the account in US bank, that is your Nostro. Our account with them, Nostro. Not tested. So what do you mean by SWIFT? It is not available, right? SWIFT is the method of making the payment. This is the only accepted method in Sri Lanka. Right? SWIFT, that is the mode of payment, like blockchain in Sri Lanka, not that much popular. So now basically we do the foreign transaction through SWIFT only. SWIFT, SWIFT. Shift only. So entire banking system, entire banks in Sri Lanka are part of this system. Part of this system. So basically, you make all foreign currency transaction. When your bank makes a foreign currency transaction, say now you are doing a SIMA. So then you'll have to make a payment to US, sorry, UK SIMA institution. So you give money, rupees, then you take whatever the GGP draft or whatever TG. So the bank will send this money to UK to shift only. To shift only. Shift only. Right? So it is very important for you to understand these things. Examiner can test you for 2 marks sometimes. So shift is what is shift? The mode of payment, settlement method of foreign currency. What is the settlement method of rupee? RTGS, right? That is within Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, if you want to send money to another bank, yeah, if it is a more than if it is a big amount, so 99,999 only you can use that check. So if it is more than that, you can have use how the method of sending money is what RTGS, real time gross settlement. RTGS. So locally, that is local. Worldwide we have 6 methods, right? And also remember, if you say gold in the international market, we say gold XAU. That's how you do the transaction. There's a separate code for this. Like Japanese, we have JPY. NOK means what? Norwegian krona. Euro means European. Euro. USD, US dollar. If you say uh, INR, Indian rupees, PAK, Pakistan rupees, right? So several countries, at least examiner will not ask this question, but in major currencies, if you know the abbreviation of these major currencies, that will be fine, right? And now, before we come to this, now remember that we discussed cross rates with you. Cross rates is what? Now, the other day I discussed a question with you. The exporter exports tea to Germany. He received euro to Sri Lanka to his account, BFC account, or business foreign currency account. Now he needs to convert into his reported currency. Or the reported currency, he is in Sri Lanka, so then reported currency is what? LKR. So we need to convert it to LKR. So for you to calculate this is important for you to understand. And I will giving you easy method for you to do. Now understand this. Two direct or two indirect codes. Now remember, the other day I told you there are four currencies, direct codes. Not the previous lecture, the one before I discussed. There are four currencies. There are four currencies available in Sri Lanka, in the world. I will write it to I think. There are four currencies. Okay. No, I think I have not discussed with you. GDP. Can see this, right? GBP, Great Britain pound, Euro, AUD, New Zealand dollar. Now these are the currencies. These are the four currencies in the world. Codes are done. Codes are expressed. Indirect codes. Indirect codes. Remember that. So what do you mean by that? Now see. Now how do we write R1? USD. Como na pilih? Tapi jauh pilih. Now, if we say GDP, we write 1.38. Just refreshing you, right? Okay. Now, do you see any difference? I think to this country. Right. Now, see, when you write USD LKR, USD and INR, the USD is on your left hand side, but GBP USD and Euro USD, in this pair, USD is on your right hand side. Now, these two we discuss direct. Only thing you can keep in mind, R1 is direct. What is R1? USD LKR, where USD is on your left hand side. But these four currencies, they are GBP, Euro, AUD, USD. USD is on right hand side. That's the difference. So here these are the direct codes. These are direct codes. Direct codes. Why? USD is on your left hand side. Here the USD is on your right hand side. That is.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
The screen is not sharing at the moment.
It is so. I'm sorry. Can you see this now?
Still not, sir.
Oh. What about now?
Yes, sir. Now we can see.
Right, sorry about it.
Thank you, sir.
Now, so USD is on your left hand side. Here the USD is always on your right hand side. So then we have USD here, here also the USD. Right here, USD is on your left hand. Here the USD is on your right hand side. These four codes are we call indirect, right? Other codes. So then direct and indirect. So if you have been given now the question the other day we discussed from the question paper was this: USD LKR given the rate given, Euro USD rate is also given. Then he gets euro whatever the amount, then he needs to convert into rupees. Now say you have euro 1 million. How do you convert into rupees? So the euro we should have, then we can easily convert. But there is no particular straightforward pair. Euro USD. Euro USD ne? I'm sorry, Euro LKR ne rate method. LKR is USD take. Euro is USD take. Then we'll have to take new one called Euro LKR. So that's the method or that's cross rate, that different rate or we are preparing based on this formula. Can see this, right? Rules for cross rate. Two directs. What do you mean by two directs? මේ වගේම තව USD අපිට තියෙන එක. අපි කියමු තවමත් USD JPY. Two directs. USD INR. Two directs. Two indirect. Two indirect. Two indirect. Two direct, two indirect. If you are given the exam like this, what you should do is this: cross and divide. Nothing. Cross and divide. Here in this particular exam, two direct. USD on your left hand side. HKD means Hong Kong dollar. CHF means what? Switzerland. So basically, what happens is USD HKD, USD CHF, two direct. Why? How did we identify USD is on your left hand? So if it is so, now remember in the exam, in your examiner, generally we have seen examiners are not giving hypothetically created currency pair. Example is A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, like that. So generally since we are doing real subject, so this is a theory based subject. So the examiners used always actual currency pair, actual currency note, actual currency denomination. So the USD and USD, ABC killer, there is no currency called ABC. So they are not using, not seen. Last history not seen. And they're using the particular currency code only. And then we don't want to worry about it. So USD SKR, if it is cross, then it's 7.2515 cross and multiply. I'm sorry, here, same thing. USD LKR, USD, if it is same USD, cross and divide. USD is on your left hand side. That is, so then it is direct code. You are getting a two direct codes. How do you create, how do you form the cross rate? Cross rate is what? The USD is the common foreign currency note here. USD is the common factor here. Sorry. USD is the common factor here. Here the USD there, here the USD there. So obviously cross rate is between what? HKD. So the only thing you will have to consider, only thing you have to keep in mind, is it HKD? Now you can understand how to do this cross and divide. 7.2515 should be divided by 1.5050. Then this one has to be divided by this. You get this answer if you keep this in mind. Then you know the answer. It's perfectly alright. Why? Two direct. So the question comes, common factor American, so you can remove that. Then HKD CH, cross rate. So this particular one, so we told you, so if you say USD LKR, meaning is what? Interpretation is what? USD 1 USD equals LKR 200. US 1 USD equals JPY 109. Similarly, GBP 1 GBP equals 1.38. What do you have right hand side? Dollar. €1 equals USD 1.17. It is buying selling, the capacity. 1 GBP, always your left hand side is 1. The answer comes on your right hand side is always your right hand side currency, related to right hand side currency only. So this will not change. This not change by default. It is so. Right? Always $1 equals JPY this month. Whatever. USD එකක් equal LKR 200. 200. Buying selling. Euro එකක් කියන්නේ USD 1.17. Right? Now here also we have the answer. Cross and divide by two direct or indirect. So then question comes, is it 1 Is it HKD CHF or CHF HKD? Now, in this particular, understand this, right? This is very important for you in the exam. They, we will take one thing. We have this one. USD is common factor. So then we can find out this is one. Now cross and divide. එකක් තිබ්බ ගමන් කෙලිම කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ඒකම තමයි තියෙන්නේ. එකක් තිබ්බොත් එම මේක මේකෙන් බෙදන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ. Right? So what happens? Basically, we take actual rate 203 selling rate. One point, you have the answer. You don't know the currency pair. The cross and divide can, if you have given one, of course you have to divide by this one, right? So that's understood, right? You get an answer by dividing 203 divided by 109. Your answer you get 1.18. 1.8. Like that, right? So here equal, sorry, so this is the answer you get. And here 203 divided by 109. Make it a tibber, so make a better, make a you have two names, buying and selling, but here for the time being you are taking only one. So then, now is it LKR JPY? JPY LKR. That's the problem here. Since this is known, we know that is JPY LKR. That is known, since we know it. But how do you? Now, how does the bank do this? Same thing. Now, remember, banks are doing the same thing, right? There is no different from this what we are learning. Same thing they are doing. They are not GBP, Euro USD rate එක නැත්නම් LKR USD rate එක දුන්නාම අපිට cross currency cross rate එක හම්බ වෙනවා. ඒ rate එක අපි දන්න එක euro එකට තමයි LKR. Why? Our currency is anyway weak, so we pay more. Our currency is anyway depreciated against all other currencies. Like that. So basically, JPY and LKR we pay more. So how do you get it now? 1 point now. When you go to the bank, some say if you want to import a vehicle, example, right? So you want to open a LC in Japan. then they are telling 2.5 million JPY, Japanese yen. So then you have to be given the LKR value. So that's what they are doing. They can easily give you why? They have already calculated JPY LKR rate in the morning. Every morning you calculate. So how did they calculate? Based on these two. Based on these two. Understood? This is how it comes. If it is direct, you know, cross and divide. Indirect, cross and divide. Right? So what happens is now what do you do this in this case? USD එකකට LKR 203යි. USD එකකට JPY 109යි. Both are on you. Both the USD denominated currency, USD form currency is on your left hand side. Left hand side. Who pays more out of these two? That's the question. Out of these two, in the sense what? Why we have taken these two? So USD is anyway common. This is very important, right, in the exam. This is common. USD and we don't know to talk about why USD here, USD is common. Our problem is whether it is LKR JPY, we know the answer. Why? We have learned cross and divide. Everything perfectly all right. Only thing we'll have to determine this only. If you correctly identify the determination of LKR JPY, LKR JPY, the JPY LKR, that's perfectly okay for today. Right? So in the future also same thing, no change. Your dealers, your treasury divisions are doing the things like this only. Right? So who pays more out of these two? What do you mean by out of these two? Out of these two countries, what are the two countries involved in here? Sri Lanka, reported currency is here. Japan, why they are countries. Who pays more for dollars? USD එකකට LKR 203ක් ගෙවනවා. USD එකකට JPY ගෙවන්නේ 109යි. Who pays more? We pay more. For what? $1. Who pays more? We pay more. I told you, anybody who pays more, weak. How do you interpret this? එක ඩොලර් එක යුරෝ එකකට USD this much. This is USD. එක යුරෝ එකට USD 1 point. What is this? This is USD. This is USD. Left hand side always should be equal to what? 1. 1. And who pays more here? US pays more. US pays more. Their currency. Who pays more here? LKR, Sri Lanka pays more. If you pay more, the amount has to be left hand side or right hand side. Who pays more here? Euro එකකට තමයි USD. Always left hand side one. Who pays more here? USD pays more. If anybody pays more than one, then you should be on the right hand side. Who pays more here? 203ක් මෙයා ගෙන 109 මෙයා ගෙන. Who pays more? $1 එකට. This guy pays more. එහෙනම් එයා වැඩිපුර ගෙවන එයාගේ සයිඩ් එක මොකද්ද වෙන්න ඕනේ? එයා ඉන්න ඕනේ දකුණු පැත්තේ. එයා ඉන්නේ දකුණු පැත්තේ මොන සයිඩ් එකේ? That is how you select. This is wrong. In the exam, don't go wrong. Don't do any mistakes on this side. Lot of students are doing this mistake. They know how to do this. Why? Based on this rule for cross rates, they know this. But only thing they get. So things now see now you are getting a true currency pair. That's to now say USD INR. You have been given in the you are given. But in the second currency pair you are given, we say USD SEK, USD Norwegian krona. But රුපියලට Norwegian krona in a rate එක you're not familiar. දැන් අපි උදාහරණ මම කිව්වේ දැන් USD US රුපියලකට යූරෝ ගෙවනවා අපි දන්නවා දැන් අපි රුපියල LKR එකකට GBP ගෙවුවා අපි දන්නවා අනිවාර්යෙන් 200 ගණක් තියෙනවා. that we know. ඒතර අපි දන්නවා GBP එකකට රුපියල් තමයි 200 ගන්න. that is familiar. ඩොලර් දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම USD එකකට තමයි LKR 203. කවදාවත් LKR එකකට 203යි කියලා අපි කවදාවත් කොහෙවත් කියන්නේ නැහැ. කැල්කියුලේෂන් එකේ තාවත් අපි දන්නවා මේක වැරදි කියලා. right? This is known to us. USD LKR is 200 190 ගණන් 200 205 230 කියලා අපි this is known. කවුරු හරි කිව්වොත් එහෙම නේ USD එකට LKR නෙමෙයි 203. LKR එකට USD 203යි කියලා කිව්වොත් අපි දන්නවා completely wrong. familiar this. But in the exam, now see, now we have been discussing this. This is wrong. Why? How do you identify? You know to get this answer. Then you will have to decide with this LKR, JPY, GPY. So anything now see, how do you decide it? You go to the previous two original codes. USD LKR, this is the original codes given by the examiner. Who pays more? LKR pays more, $1. $1 this guy pays lesser than what we pay, what Sri Lanka pays. So then obviously, left hand side 1, of course, you'll have to select this. This is the one. 1.8. Should be JPY එකකට LKR. Understood? It's clear, right? Now move on to next one. Now see, same thing. If you get to know these two, finish. That's all. No other than that. Direct and indirect. USD, HKD is a direct quote. Right? USD is on the left hand side. Indirect quotes means what? We have learned 4. GBP, New Zealand dollar, Euro, and AU. And this is one of them. USD, LKR. Always USD එකකට HKD 7. GBP එකකට USD 1.4. It goes like that, right? By default. So what's the method they have been given? Straight down and multiply. Straight down and multiply. No cost. Why? USD or the direct, indirect. Again, you know direct 7.2515 into 1.40, 7.25 into 1. That we know. We get this answer. Then again the problem comes. You can get it this answer. That's no question. Keep this in mind and get the answer. So is it? What is the common factor here? Dollar is common. Here the dollar is there. Here the dollar is there. So then it has to be cross rate is what? Either either GBP HKD or HKD GBP. That's what we will have to decide. So then how do we decide it? USD is common. Both the cases USD is on your left hand side. But in this case, USD එකකට HKD 7.25, that's true. But GBP eකට USD 1 point. So then who pays more? HKD means Hong Kong dollar. GBP means UK. So which currency pays more? So how to decide? Simple, say arithmetic. Same thing. What do you do? මේ වගේ එකක් තිබ්බම you bring all this common factor. What is the common factor here? US dollar into one side. So easy method is one. Keep this as it is. USD HKD. For us to understand, for us to convenient, for us to get it convenient. So replace or basically interpret or basically rework this particular pair GB USD GB. What do? GBP එකට තමයි USD 1.04. So if you want to do this USD එකට GBP ගන්න what do? You should divide, you should take 1 should divide by 1.4032. 1.40. So the 1 should be divided by 1.403. Then you get what? $1 එකට how much? Simple. Now if we take this, this is there, then we take another. Here we have, we say this particular one. Direct, indirect. මේ එකේ කාර්යයි. This is on IT, yeah. That's why I highlighted same. Take care of this USD decimal. So always on your left equals 1. But so then we don't need this. We know how to do this USD LKR. We know the answer. We have learned 203 into 1. 230. Is the answer. Is the answer. So our problem is what? In the exam, you know, කවදාවත් USD එකකට රුපියල එකට යූරෝ 237ද යූරෝ එකකට රුපියල් 237ද කියන එක you know that 237 you pay more what? LKR pays more. Obviously you know this has to be who pays more? LKR pays more. That is since you are known to this. If you are getting an unknown currency, shall we take this then? Take AUD. AUD is standard. AUD is normal. No, we will take this first. Then we will take euro as well. AUD as well. AUD is different. We can learn. Right. Now the problem comes. Is it what is the common factor here? USD. So then we have a problem. Is it LKR euro? Some EUR LKR. So that's the dilemma we have. Same thing we had the previous as well. Why we have taken this? USD is common. So remove this common factor, then you are left with LKR and US. EU. You are, sorry. Yeah, Euro. Again comes. You can't do this, right? If you take everything into one common side, then easy for us to do. What do you do? So then what do you do? So that we can calculate. Oh, you bring all this into one side. What do you do? Here USD you keep USD then you bring what is USD EUR. Then easy. So the USD is there anyway. Familiar for us. This is not familiar to you, familiar to us. You bring USD on your left hand side. Then both the figures are, both the rates are, both the denomination are on common platform. So what do you do? It's easy. Like one should be divided by 1.1. 0.8, 0.85, 0.85. We will take this here. And we have one common platform. Yes. Forget about this middle one. It's very difficult, right? To online session like this when calculations are involved. Sorry about it, right? I'm not very much conversant on this computer. USD LKR, right? Correct. USD is on your left hand side. Here USD LKR, yes, USD is on your left hand side. Both are in the common platform. So then we can easily identify who pays more. Simple question again asking who pays more. Take this one and take this one. Who pays more? This guy pays. This guy pays how much? Less than one. Who pays more? This guy pays more. So this guy pays more means what? LKR pays more. LKR pays more. LKR we are giving more. If we are giving more than one, why left? Compact taken. If you are paying more means what? More than one. It has to be more than one. If it is more than one now, it has to be on your right hand side. Who pays more? In this case, LKR pays more. I man, USD එකක්වත් කියවන්න point එක. මෙයා 203ක් කියනවා. Who? LKR. Answer is less. Answer අපිට less than 1 ද more than 1 ද? මේක එකට වැඩි 237 කියන්නේ එකට වැඩි. So then it has to be LKR should be right hand side. So it has to be then what? This is the right one. Understood? Easy. What do you do? Again, I am telling you, understand with intention. Then you will not go wrong. What do you do? In the exam, you are given these two. How do you find the cross rate? That we learn. Rate and what? We got the answer. I think we got the answer. Now the problem is what? Is it LKR euro the euro LKR? Why? Problem is USD संबंध रहते हैं. USD is common. USD common now we can remove it. No worries. Here USD is there, here USD is common. Then problem make LKR euro वोल्ट ये मतलब this other the euro LKR वोल्ट ये मतलब this other. Then the problem comes. So then what do? Bring all these common factor into left hand side. What we did similar previously. Common factor is USD अभी वहाँ पे दिया गया है for us familiar. Keep this one as it is and convert or the revert or the replace this one. USD equals how much? We did it. USD method in euro. Megan Samana method is indirect. This is the common acceptor, right? But for our calculation purpose, for the exam purpose, we convert this USD LKR how much? How do you do this? 1, always 1 divided by whatever the figure given here. 1 is common, no? 1 is before that you know, so simple arithmetic. 1 divided by 1.7, then answer comes 0.8, less than 1. Then we decide who pays more. Who pays more out of USD LKR, out of USD. Both are USD on the common factor. Now we see. Who pays more? LKR, USD LKR देसे तुला क्यों? USD euro given less than 1. එකක් පත්. Then who pays more? LKR pays more. Answer is more than 1 or less than 1. Answer this is more than 1. More than 1 rupee. This is this one. Rupee like what already. Right? If it is 0, then problem comes. Here, who pays more? This is this again. Rupee like what already. Right? Rupee this is this one. So then LKR pays more. Then anything who pays more has to be on your right hand side. Why? One path always equals 1. One path always equals 1. Now say, now in this case, we will say now erroneously you have written this. How do you interpret this? How do you interpret? එක රුපියලකට euro 230ක්. This is how you interpret it. 1 rupee equals 237 rupees. 237 euro. This is how you interpret if you have written in the exam. Why? Left hand side is always 1. That's what I want to tell you. I'm repeatedly telling you, left hand side is 1. So then remove this. This is wrong. It has to be LKR should be interconnected with this other. Euro LKR this is why we have understood here LKR pays more out of these two. This one and this one LKR pays more for USD. So then we have decided to go. Right? Understood. Now, right? Now, shall we quickly do this one? Then you can firmly identify it. AUD USD. Here, सामान्य में से जाना रेट है कहता है 0.73. Generally, you have 4 decimals, right? For the time being, for the easiness, for the easy reference only, I am putting this 2 decimals. In the exam, you have to write it 4 decimals, right? That is the perfect way to write. Someone can test you. In internationally accepted method is to have 4 decimals. Now, අපේ වේ අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් decimal 4ක් ලියන්නේ because our big figure is big නේ. We call this is big figure. Sense වල මෙහෙමත් තියෙනවා සාමාන්‍ය generally කියන්නේ it's a technical word big figure, but we take only 2 cents. But other currencies, now if you say 1.1700, you have to write it like that. You have to take 4 decimals. අපේ එකයි JPY එකයි we don't take 4 decimals, only 2 decimals, right? That is also keep in mind, right? So then now you have been given in the exam this. have been given in the exam. Direct, indirect. What do you do? Direct and indirect. What do you do? Trade down and multiply. Here. So given one, trade down and multiply. What do you do? Can anyway get the answer? No shoot. 203 point 0.73. 148 is a hypothetical example. 148.19, but I'll take it 148 is we are doing hypothetical transaction. The problem comes what? Is it LK or AUD or AUD to LKR? What problem screen? USD is common. Here the common. Here the common. So again, we don't have to worry about this. But common factor is immaterial for us. So what do you do then? We bring USD on the same platform. Now we here the USD, take the USD on your left hand side. So what do you do? Then you have USD AUD. So the 1 divided by, how do you do this? 1 divided by 0.73. How many? 1.36. Answer. Now we are on same platform here. This one, this one. USD එකකට LKR කියනවා how much? 203. USD එකකට AUD කියනවා how much? 1 rupee and 36. එක රුපියලයි 7.36. රුපියලකුයි 7.36 කියනවා for 1 USD of AUD. For 1 USD we pay 1.36 of AUD. Now I'm asking another question from you. Now if you see this, based on these two currencies, AUD, USD, which country's economy is weak? We have discussed this. So what's the justification? What's the base? Anything you pay more is weak. Think about our country, we pay more. අපි $1 එකට 200ක් දෙනවා. We are weak. Economy is weak. Who pays here more? AUD එකට USD ගෙවන්නේ 0.73. Who pays more? This equals 1 always. එකද ලොකු 0.73 ද ලොකු. එක ලොකු. Who pays more then? AUD pays more or AUD pays less? AUD එකකට USD 73. Who pays more? AUD pays more. Understand? So clear it. Are you clear? It is clear, right? AUD always on your left hand side equals 1. AUD එකකට USD තමයි මේක. US දකුණට තියෙන මේක නෑ. LKR එක නෙමෙයි දෙතිරුණයි. So USD 0.3. Not even 1. Not even $1. Who pays more? Who pays less? Who pays more? Now here in this, who pays more? LKR pays more. LKR is weak. Sri Lanka is weak. So in this case, who pays more? AUD pays more. Why? USD AUD එකකට USD ගෙවන්නේ 0.73, not even 1. එකක්වත් ගෙවන්නේ. This guy pays only 70 cents, 73 cents, 73 cents dollars. Less than 1. You know, USD pays less. This guy pays more. Which country's currency, which country's economy is weak? The guy who pays more. Guy who pays less is strong. Country who pays less, strong. Who pays less? 0.73. එකක්වත් ගෙවන්නේ. එකකට ගෙවන්නේ 0.73. එහෙනම් මම ගෙවන USD ගෙවනවා අඩුයි. අඩු වෙනා නම් එයාගේ කරන්සි එක හොඳයි. එයාගේ රට හොඳයි. එයාගේ ඉකොනොමි එක හොඳයි. So that's a different story. Since we got this 0.7 point ගණන් මේක අර big figure එකක් තිබ්බනම් you can easily identify who pays more කියලා, but right, understand this as well, right? This is how you go. Now see this, take this USD එකට AUD, easily you can identify USD එකකට AUD, who pays more? AUD pays more. Hey, එකකට වඩා වැඩි කර කියනවා. Who pays more? AUD pays more. Whose economy is weak? AUD's economy is weak. Same thing here. But if you, without interpreting in the other way, you'll be able to understand in the exam why we reclassify, or why we revert this, or why we recalculate this, since we need this for this calculation. But in the exam, if you are given this, you'll be able to understand who pays less, who pays more. Right? But if it is this is not the correct way. Worldwide, it's wrong. For the calculation purpose only, we have done this, right? For the easiness. And මේක තිබුණා ලේසි. USD එකට who pays more? AUD pays more. Obviously, Australia economy is weaker than USD here. Who pays more? Who pays? Here, who pays less? AUD එකට USD ගෙවන්නේ අඩුයි. එහෙනම් USD is strong. Who is weak? AUD is weak. Right. Now, like coming back to our topic. Now, see, who pays more? Take this yellow one. AUD, USD එකකට LKR 203ක් දෙනවා. USD AUD 1 point, who pays more? LKR pays more, 203 instead of 1 rupee and 30 cents. So then, if you are paying more, it has to be on your right hand side. Why? Left hand side is always equals 1. So then LKR, this amount relates to LKR or AUD, which pays more? Who pays more? LKR. USD LKR this is now USD AUD rupiah. So the rupiah this is the very common sense 203 value. So then our answer is related to what? So the LKR has to be on your right hand side. This 148 relates to LKR. This is your answer. Understood? If you get into the knowledge, if you get into to get something out of this, perfectly all right. In the exam, there may be some confusion. We have seen examiner's report. So, students, get this right. But only the interpretation may be wrong. Only thing now, if it is a known currency, obviously you can think, right, okay, euro නම් 200 ගණන් කරනවා euro එකකට තමයි LKR. So then euro has to be on your left hand side. If If it is unknown, unknown in the sense not hypothetically, then when not all using the currency, if you don't get it, if you are not using it. Now, for example, if you say Nepal, Maldivian rupiah, USD, Maldivian rupiah, MBR, we don't know. So then it has to be correctly. You should know how to calculate. USD MBR is a known currency. USD එකට Maldivian rupiah 15. Go and check USD එකට MBR 15 වගේ තමයි කියවන්නේ. So MBR is a worldwide currency but which is not known to us. So අපිට හිතා ගන්න බෑ answer එක ආවහම which one is correct. If you know this, you don't want to worry about. That's why I have learned this. That's why I have taught this. That's why you have learned this. That's why taught this. Understand pretty well, so you will not go wrong anywhere. Now, your dealers are doing same thing, right? If we, definitely, these people are not intentionally doing it. They must have this Excel sheet, but the base is this. If you know the base, you know the foundation, you will not go right. So that's that. So understand this is important. Why we have learned this. Taking much time in the exam, you can be given to answer, you can be given to find the cross rate. So this is how you do cross rates. Finally, this is how you do this, and keep in mind 2 direct, 2 indirect, this is the way. Direct, indirect, this is the way. 2 direct, 2 indirect, cross and multiply. Direct, 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 and indirect. So then straight and multiply. That's all. So basically, other questions are almost based on this. So basically, I'll be taking this question little later with this examination question. I have not touched any exam question. Then we will be moving on to next week hedging techniques, so that we can finish it off this hedging transaction. Then I thought of starting mergers and acquisition. So the mergers and acquisition is the length of it, which we need to consider. Then we will move on to. Then you have a fair idea. Only thing we are left with asset securitization. So you can take it off well in advance. Then we will move to questions. I have a lot of questions to discuss with you. I will be uploading slowly. I have not uploaded anything in advance since you are not familiar on the entire syllabus. So I thought of first finish this, then we will move on to slowly. Then you can again refresh it. If I do the questions, I thought of doing this. Initially, I thought of implementing that, but I changed it since we are virtually working. Right, we are virtually working. So that first we finish it, then again we will start from what are the questions related to issue management. Then you also can refresh what we have done. So I think that's a good method I thought of since I'm not studying it, right? I'm not physically meeting also, right? So we will continue from next week. Any question you have? I have taken a little more time from you, so we will move on to hedging techniques from next week, right? Yeah, I'll let you know our plan. What will our next future plans also, right? So sometimes I might, when the read questions, I need to use some whiteboard rather than doing this. Rather than doing this Word document. So it's very cumbersome for you as well. So we will decide what to do, right? Any question you have before we finish? Shall we wind up this class? And thank you very much, students, for being part of it.